tell. All right, so who wrote the note? You know, this episode surprised me on who wrote the note. I'm not going to lie, because I was wrong. I was very wrong from my prediction of last week on who I thought it was going to be. I think it might be Rachel. I don't know, I just have a feeling.
Not this time. Wrong.
But I think this episode also is trying to throw us, a curveball, because I truly believe that the winner, I'm just going to say, is Kelsey A. Like, I mean, she's clearly his front runner. It's just very, very obvious. I mean, you never know. Maybe it could be Daisy, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that it's Kelsey A, but we're going to get into it. So this episode starts off with, obviously, show a little clip of the ending, which is the whole who's writing this note, right? We have the 4 people. We have the 3 women in Tulum, Mexico. Tulum, Mexico. So I'm like, yes, let's get the Mexican parties up in here. I am ready. And the one thing, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it now. I couldn't get over it. The loafers.
What the fuck are those?
Guys, the loafers. Joey's outfit. I couldn't unsee it. The loafers really got me. I was like, those have got to go. Like, they've got to go. Just, I'm not about... I don't know why I feel so passionate about these loafers, but I do. We have Joey just talking, his ITMs, just saying about how he was crushed that he wasn't picked by Charity. He gets very emotional. You just see him like really, really thinking. He's like really not overthinking it, but I think this whole thing that happened with Charity has really affected him to the point that now he's in this position, and I think he is so fearful of someone not loving him back and not choosing him that he's pretty much getting in his own head.
I'm finding myself holding back in some ways because I want it to go so well, but I don't know what to do.
About really surrendering to the process. And he does talk about this. He feels that he's holding back because he is very fearful of, actually letting someone in and then them not choosing him, which is such a big freaking theme across this whole season. It's just been about people leaving him or not feeling the same way, which is what happened with Maria, right? That was the big catalyst of why he pretty much got turned off by it, because, Maria was so invested, and then all of a sudden she's like, I'm going to leave. Like, I can't do this. And to him, it was like, wait, I was getting there, and now you're saying you're going to leave, And then, with the person who wrote the note, well, we're getting that. He's going to start to spiral even more. And he's so focused on... And Evan from Mom and Dad, again, always shouting out my favorite Your Mom and Dad podcast because I absolutely love them. They were talking about that on there, and I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Is the fact that, like, Joey is so focused. When you hear him talking about the other women, he's mostly talking about the fact that he doesn't want the women to leave him, but he's not generally saying, like, oh, I am so over the moon in love with this person. I'm having trouble picking between X, Y, and Z. It seems more like he is so worried more about the girls or the women not picking him instead of him really being like, wait, who am I picking? Which also at the same time makes you think it's like, well, if he's not having these moments of wondering like, shit, like I really love Daisy, I really love Kelsey, and I really love Rachel. I don't know who I'm going to pick. I'm at a crossroads. They all make me feel really great in different ways. The fact that he hasn't said that makes it seem like he almost has like a clear winner in his brain. And he is scared that that person is going to be the one that's going to walk away. That's what it's really reading that, in my opinion, right now. It's just reading that he has a clear front runner and he is scared that front runner is not going to pick him. I don't know. Let me know in a comment below if you kind of see what I'm seeing. Just saying. But then we have, of course, my favorite part, which is all of the women having their little moments, thinking. At first we're thinking on the beach. Now we're thinking on the balcony of our room. Now we're thinking while we're drinking our drinks. Now we're thinking while we're by the waterfall. Like, oh my God, these moments when they make them think is hilarious. Like, I always wonder what that's like to film. If they're like, okay, guys, so we're going to be filming the thinking shots. Think about Joey. Think about how this process is a lot for you. Now let's walk on the beach. I always find those so funny. Like, the thinking montages are hilarious. I did notice, though, all 3 of them were staying at different hotels. And I guess I never really thought of that before. But now that I'm, really into travel these days, I really noticed that, Daisy was staying at Dreams. Kelsey was staying at Secrets. I can't remember where Rachel was staying, but they were clearly all staying at different places. And I'm just going to say, as a travel agent, Secrets is where it's at. I mean, okay. And of course, she got a balcony. I mean, Kelsey A is getting the treatment of the winner. In my opinion, she is getting the treatment of the winner. She got a balcony. She was facing the ocean. Freaking Daisy got like that first floor looking at the inside pool. Like it was like all like kind of looking inside. I was like, okay, Kelsey, are you the clear winner here? Right? Oh, I think Rachel's also staying at Secrets. I might be taking that back. I think I wrote here Rachel's staying at Secrets. So I don't know, but they're all staying at different ones. So the first woman who's going to have a one-on-one with Joey is going to be Miss Rachel, who I was very worried for this episode, and I'm still very worried for her. I'm very worried for her heart. I will say I'm very worried for her heart. But we have some Golden Bachelor women here today. And Susan is the first woman that gets to talk to Rachel. And I absolutely love that woman. Susan is just always radiating with joy. She is just, I want her to find love so badly. Like, if there was like a Golden Bachelor, like, in paradise, it would be amazing. And I want her to find love. She is just so amazing. But you have Rachel talking about how she loves that Joey accepts her and her goofy side, because a lot of the men she used to date didn't really understand that side of her. And she loves that Joey has accepted that. We find out so much more about her background and about these relationships she's had. And this is when I was like, oh, my heart is going to break for you, because at this, like, I always already knew, but like, unless they're really editing this to throw us off, it just seems like Rachel's not gonna beat the winner in this. So hearing her talk and be vulnerable about this was just like so hard to watch, because I'm like, oh my god, her heart. I am hurting for her already. But we find out that she and her, both of her longest relationships, she's been cheated on. And I was like, oh God. And now you're like in this environment where it's not that Joey's cheating on you, but he's clearly dating other women while also dating you. And it's just a really awkward situation to be in. And you have to be really present and really, really, really believe that he's going to pick you. And I'm just like, oh my God. But yeah, she's just has this fear that she's not being picked, because it's obviously going in her past and she's been cheated on. She's never been the one to be picked. And I'm like, oh my God, my heart. She's just very guarded. And Susan tells her, you know,
if you love him, be vulnerable. Let your guard down.
She threw a RuPaul line and I was here for it. She said, you know, if you don't love yourself, like how are you going to love? How are you going to let someone else? How are you going to love someone else in? I said, girl, RuPaul. She RuPaul'd it. I wonder if Susan watches RuPaul. I wonder. Are you guys a fan of RuPaul's? Because I do watch RuPaul's Drag Race. I used to watch it here on the channel, but I felt like it wasn't really going anywhere, so I kind of stopped. But maybe when I start my Patreon, wink, wink, I think it's going to be coming soon, guys. I'm going to start a Patreon. I'm just throwing that out there, that I might be starting a Patreon soon. But anyway, I love that she got to see, that she got to have Susan there to really guide her and give her motherly advice. Then we have her and Joey's date, which, you know, Joey talks about how he has this banter with her that he doesn't have with other women. And I'm like, you know what? I do see that. And I really love it. I think it's so cute that they do have like a cute little banter. They're very, very cute. And then what their date is, which at first started out like it could be fun, didn't end very well, but they basically, I'm forgetting the word, but they dive off of these platforms into this like river or like this water area that like if you jump into the middle of it, it's like extremely deep. But there's like different levels to these like diving platforms. So they kind of start at the beginning and then the middle and then there's the highest. And in the last one, basically they dive off and Rachel gets very hurt in her jaw.
It's fine.
Sure. You always say you're fine and I feel you touching your face here.
Hurts so bad.
Okay, let's get out then. Come on.
And obviously in this moment, as Rachel, she was probably like, fuck, well, there goes my date. There goes like my one chance before, you know, before fantasy suites to like have more time with him and all this stuff before, you know, we get to the nitty gritty of the night portion, right? Medics come, they make it all dramatic. They make it all dramatic because we all know that the producers were probably like, oh shit, y'all, We got ourselves a hospital moment. Bring out the medic. Cue.
Please cue the medic. Cue the medic. All right. Medic's coming in. He's gonna check on Rachel. Great. Okay. If her jaw is okay, we're still gonna bring her to the hospital. We are still bringing her to the hospital. Code hospital. Okay.
Literally, that's what I think producers are doing. But yeah, the medic comes there, he checks her out, and then she's still like in a lot of pain, and she's trying to like kind of like make it seem that she's okay, even though at the same time she's saying she's in a lot of pain, which I thought was interesting. And Joey is, can read on it. And Joey's like, hey, it's okay. We should go to the hospital. Like, please don't try to be brave during this. Like, like just trying to comfort her and be like, it's okay. And she's like, oh, I know, but I feel bad. He's like, don't feel bad. It's okay. But yeah, they end up going to the hospital. They they check her jaw and they're like, oh, you're fine. And I'm like, freaking producers. Like, damn for sabotaging that. And did y'all, the producers did some crazy sabotaging in this episode, just saying, based on our next date. But this one was definitely sabotage. I was like, guys, she didn't need to go to the hospital. I think she was fine. I think the producers really just kind of wanted to amp it up and make it like, ooh, we're gonna make it dramatic. She's gonna go to the hospital, and then she's gonna start spiraling, because if we go to the hospital, she's gonna start thinking like, oh my god, my date, it's wrong. Then they're gonna have a lot of footage, like that's what they did. I'm calling it out. They did it. I know it. And then we have the night portion. She seems to be she goes, yeah, I'm perfectly fine. She's moving her jaw. Everything's great. But you do have Rachel really questioning in this moment if she's just too late, if the other women are ahead in this process, and is she playing catch up? She tells that to Joey, and it was a great moment. I think they had a great date, but it's just like after you see him with the other two women, you just clearly see that he has a much stronger connection with the other women. But, she gets very, very emotional. She's talking about how she was cheated on, and Joey's there for her, of course, as always. He's always there for his ladies. He's always there for his ladies, and they have a really nice moment. She breaks down, y'all. Like, breaks down. Like, you can just see, like, she had this wall, and the moment she just kind of lets go, she is, like, sobbing. She is like, clearly this woman has experienced a lot of pain that she's just like been holding, and she's very scared that this is going to happen to her again. And she finally lets those walls down, and she is just crying. Like, I'm gonna say even sobbing, more like it, not even crying, like sobbing into Joey's shoulders. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, even I teared up. I was like, oh my God. Like, I teared up because I'm like really nervous for her, and it was just, I was hurt for her. Personally, I was hurt for her. Yeah, so then Joey says that, he feels like something is there and he wants to have more time with her. Bring out the key, baby. Jesse Palmer's like, here, guys, I hope you guys will have a good time in your suite. And they bring out the key, which always cracks me up because we know their key don't open anything. But yeah, she's excited to have time with him without the cameras. And you see them kind of, they kiss and they're talking and the lights go out and stuff. Then we have the next morning, and he says that he saw a different side of her and that he was very happy. We find out that she told him that she loved him. She pictures a life with him. Now, the crazy thing is because she didn't say it on camera like we have our other two women who do, it is interesting because we don't know what he said to her. Like, did he say, I'm falling in love with you? Was that not shown? Did he not say it back? Like, we don't know. I mean, like, they didn't show them saying, like, I said it back, which then that's when it worried me. I'm like, oh, shit. He didn't say it back. That's not good, because we're already at hometowns, and he didn't even say, I'm falling in love with you. Not even I'm tripping. Like, I don't know. And then after, when we see him with Kelsey and Daisy, then you're really like, oh no. So unless producers and editing is really trying to like throw us off this scent, it just really looks like Rachel is not the winner. And like the next morning vibes, and I'm gonna say this across the whole board, like, I actually, to be honest, I don't know who he had sex with. I feel like there was a lot of sexual chemistry and tension with Daisy and a lot with Kelsey as well, but it was different energy. I felt like with Daisy, there was definitely a lot more of like a sexual, like a more sexual, like, I want to have sex with you kind of thing tonight. But I couldn't tell in any of the dates in the next morning, like if it was like we had a good time kind of thing, right? And someone, actually, I can't believe I mentioned this, no one had a talk with Joey about fantasy suites. Did y'all notice that? No one was like, so Joey, like he didn't have the conversation with JP or anything. It wasn't like, there was no sit down of like, hey, tonight's fantasy suites, like, what does that mean to you? Like, yeah, like, usually they have the sex talk, right? And they didn't do it at all. It was kind of like you just went straight into the dates. I'm like, interesting. We do always get a like we're talking about, the birds and the bees kind of thing, right? And this season, we didn't have that. Joey just went into his fantasy suite. So I really don't know, maybe unless they cut it. Like, did he have sex with anyone? Like, I really could not tell, to be honest. I don't know if you guys could tell. I don't know. Comment down below, but I couldn't tell. I just could tell that when he came out of his when they woke up the next morning, it looked more like they just talked. Like there was a lot of vulnerability. There was a lot of talking. That's what it looked like. It didn't look like we banged kind of thing. I didn't feel that like chemistry or that kind of like, hey, like, ooh, we had fun last night. It was more like we talked and we got to know each other much more. And then we go into our next date, which is Miss Kelsey A. And this is when the producers were like, all right, so I'm gonna put my producer hat, my acting moment. Okay, you guys ready? Ready? All right, my friends. So Kelsey, what shall we do with Kelsey? So Kelsey has been having a very, very swift, very smooth process. No ripples. Nothing's going on. So what can we do? What do we do? I know what we should do. What should we do? I think we should bring in Leslie. Oh, Leslie, you're right. We should bring Leslie, because if we bring Leslie in, who got completely caught off guard from Gary not choosing her and her thinking she was confident that she was going to win, and then she got her heart broken on national TV and it was great TV. What can we do? Let's bring her in. And then she's going to talk to Kelsey, and Kelsey's going to spiral, and it's going to make amazing TV. Now, we don't want her to really spiral, but it will definitely make her think. And scene. Guys, that's literally what happened with the producers. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure that's what happened with the producers. So, I love doing these producer things. Let me know if you think it's funny, because I think it's hilarious. And even if you don't think it's hilarious, I'm still gonna do it because I find it really funny to bring my acting into this. This is fucking hilarious. So we have Leslie come in and talk to her. Kelsey before this, so was super excited. She's like, oh my God, I'm so excited to be with Joey. Oh my God, like I love him. She's just like so joyous and loving, and I absolutely love her. And I still think she is the clear winner in my opinion, but you never know. But Leslie comes in, and I totally forgot that Leslie had lost her mom at pretty much almost the same age as Kelsey. So they talk about that. They really bond over it, which I thought was a beautiful moment. Again, they talk about the butterflies. And I'm like, guys, okay, come on. Y'all cannot make me cry again. Of course, I started tearing up because they were talking about the fucking flowers. I mean, about the butterflies. I was like, oh my God, Kelsey, don't bring up the butterflies again. Please do not bring up the butterflies. You are pulling at my heartstrings right now. My heart. Leslie talks about how proud she thinks her mom would be of her. And of course, this just makes Kelsey even more emotional. And it's, oh my God, it was a lot. But then we have Leslie talk about how, I still think you should pretty much, don't get too confident. That's basically what she says, but not as mean. But pretty much what she says is like, listen, I was really confident that I was the one because of things that he told me, and then I wasn't. And then I got my heart broken. So, yeah, just watch out for yourself. That's basically what she says. And of course, she does this. Producers brought Leslie to Kelsey A because Kelsey A was clearly the front runner. Joey at this point probably had said, I think Kelsey is the one. And they're like, okay, great. What can we do to test this relationship? Let's bring in Leslie and let's see how this makes Kelsey react. And obviously, does not help the situation, because this starts to put doubts into Kelsey's mind, because Kelsey's like, shit, well, I'm confident. Am I not supposed to be confident? Because now, what if he doesn't pick me? Like, could I take this heartbreak? Could I take it? So Kelsey is just pretty much like, fuck.
After talking to Leslie, that made me just realize how much I could have my heart completely broken. Leslie's been through a lot of the same things that I have.
And I know that producers definitely did that on purpose. So anyway, we have the date time. But guys, the one thing I wrote was like, my God, I hate the loafers, because clearly he filmed his little ITMs in the beginning, and then he went on his date with Chelsea. Chelsea. Oh my God, guys, I'm watching Love is Blind, and when I'm talking about Love is Blind, I'll say Kelsey. And on this show, now I'm talking about Chelsea. Kelsey. If you're not watching my Love is Blind videos, by the way, go check out this playlist, because Love is Blind is amazing. Yeah, so they go on a yacht and then they go snorkeling and all this stuff. But guys, the one thing I want to point out about this date was that you could just see the way this man looks at her. Like, he was sitting next to her, and the whole time he kept saying like, oh my God, I missed you so much. I missed you. Oh my God, I missed you. I didn't want to say bye to you in New Orleans. I couldn't wait to see you again. Like, she brings out this, like, the way she smiles at me, it's like she's looking into my soul. Like, I'm like, he says these things about Kelsey A that I'm like, oh, he's not really saying that about Rachel. He kind of has, sometimes he says that kind of stuff a little bit about Daisy, but with Kelsey, I don't know. Like, the way that he kept saying like, oh, I missed you. Like, man, I really missed you. You look so beautiful. I couldn't wait to see you. Like, there was just so much more there. The way he, like, they look at each other. They're always heavily making out, like macking like crazy. Like, a lot of kissing, lots there. But then the cute thing is that, like, she's so into him too. And that's what I genuinely really like about them as a couple, is that it looks like it looks very mutual. Like, he's really into her and she's really into him. Like, she's always smiling, so joyous, so excited to see him. And he even says it, like, he says that the way she looks at him is different. And I'm like, and in the preview, I'm pretty sure his mom is saying like, she looks at you different. I'm like, it's probably Kelsey. It's probably Kelsey. Because yeah, she really does. She just, I see it too. I definitely see it, but they are just so cute together. I hope she wins, even though I do really like Daisy, but I think she will make the perfect bachelorette if she does not win. Then we go into the dinner portion, which is, you know, Kelsey A obviously is now freaked out with what Leslie told her. And this becomes just like the running theme then throughout the whole episode, is that ever since she talked to Leslie, she's just now freaked out. Pretty much that's just what happens. It's like the whole time. Like, she's just freaked out. He says that he didn't want the day to end. He never wants a day to end with her. And I'm like, these are things that are really telling, y'all. Like, this is really telling. He's literally telling us that he doesn't want the days with her to end. It's just obvious. He doesn't say this to anybody else. Like, of course, unless they're just editing this, which of course they could be. But what they're showing us is that he is very, very, very into her.
Today, it was a day I didn't want to end.
Yeah.
And that's how it always is with you. I just don't want it to end.
Yeah, I agree.
But then Joey tells Kelsey A about how, rewind. I'm getting ahead of myself. Kelsey ends up telling him, hey, I spoke to Leslie, and Leslie told me, hey, I was very confident and I didn't get chosen, and I'm very worried about that too.
It's just scary because I know with my first love that as soon as I got to that point where I was so ready, it was taken away. And I know it's gonna take a special type of person to let me open up again. And I'm feeling it with Kelsey, which is why I'm trying to talk through it.
And then Kelsey's just like, literally basically just says, bitch, I love you. Like, come on. Like, I love you. She's so excited. She's like this huge smile. She's like, oh my God, like, I can't, I'm just, you know, like, I love you. Like, I'm in love with you. And I'm like, oh shit. She said, like, I'm in love. Like, I'm in love. Now I'm falling. Like, I'm in love with you. And Joey reciprocates.
But I haven't had a doubt about how I felt about you for a very long time. Like, I'm falling in love with you fully. I've felt it for a while, and I'm so excited about what can be and what can happen between us. And
in this moment, I was like, oh, great. Okay, he said it back to her. That's awesome. But then he kind of does say the same thing to Daisy later on in a very similar fashion. Like, hey, we'll get into it, but he pretty much says the same thing. And then that's when it makes it seem like not as important, but it doesn't make it as equal as or as important as it could have been if he didn't say the exact same thing to Daisy later, in my opinion. I don't know. Let me know in a comment below, guys. Did you feel like you would have liked if he just said it to one person, or if it would have been better if he just kind of said it in a different way? I don't know. Let me know in the comment below. But yes, Kelsey A is just smiling. She's on top of the world. She's so excited. Of course, they bring out the key, baby. JP's like, do you want to go to the fantasy suite? And she's like, hell yeah. He said he pictures his life with her every time he looks in her eye. I'm like, come on, guys, these sayings. He pictures his life with her every single time he looks her in the eye. Like, it's different than just saying like, oh yeah, I picture life with her. It's like, no, every time I look into her eyes, I picture life with her. I'm like, oh my God, Joey, just tell us you picked her already. My God. Then I started thinking, I was like, oh man, well, if he doesn't pick her, my heart will break. My heart is going to break for all three of this. For the two women who do not get picked, my heart will break because you can tell that they are really surrendering themselves to this process. So I'm going to hurt for all the women that are not going to make it. All two women who do not make it. But he says it just feels right with her. I said, oh my God, Joey, stop it. Oh yeah, so I totally forgot to talk about this moment. But this moment right here, I was like, oh, okay. When I looked back at the episode, I was like, yeah, this moment kind of sold it because he did not have a sexy moment like this with anyone else. Just saying. Winner. But then moving on, we have Daisy's date now, and Daisy meets with another Golden Bachelor lady, and she meets with Sandra, who I absolutely love as well, or Sandra, who I absolutely love. She tells her that she feels so different now because of Joey, because of like the way he makes her feel, the way that he has changed her view on herself. And of course, Sandra tells her, be open. Don't be afraid of expressing your expectations and your feelings to this man. Like, really, really do that with him. It's really important. She even says, she's like, even talk about sex. Like, if you guys want to have sex, like, talk about it. Which I loved that they crossed that line with Sandra, because remember, Sandra was the one that was like always cursing and saying what was on her mind. Like, I absolutely loves that about her. And she's just lovely. I want her to find love too. I just really do. And Daisy just says like she's in love with him. I was like, wow, we went from 2 episodes ago to being like, am I there? I'm not sure. And then the next episode, she's like, I'm falling in love with you. And then they get Mexico. She's like, I'm in love with him. I'm like, whoa. We've escalated. We've gone from like, to, like, okay. I don't know what happened, but it happened. We see her meet up with Joey. And this is when it got kind of weird. And not necessarily between them, but it was like the editing got weird and I didn't really like it. I was kind of like, okay, what's going on here? So Joey meets up with her and he kind of is like, okay, so are you ready to go? And she's like, no, just wait a minute. And then she just like grabs him and pretty much starts making out with him. And I'm like, I feel very uncomfortable and I feel like I shouldn't be watching this. Should I like leave the room? Like the whole time that they were together, I felt like I was like, should I leave? Like, this is really like sexual tension in here. What is happening? I felt like I was watching an episode of Bridgerton. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then to make matters worse is the fact that the editing made it weird because they started playing like this like sexual music. And I'm like, okay, let's cut it. Cut the sexual music. Like I was not about that. It was weird. But then they go ATVing, of course, super fun. Let's do more risky things where someone could fall and break their head. Okay, let's do it. And in the meantime, while that's going on, you have them showing Kelsey A back at the hotel freaking out about, I don't know what Leslie said. It really freaked me out, basically. And I'm like, guys, y'all are really, really pushing this narrative right here. She's going to write the note, isn't she? She's going to write the note. So then Daisy sits down and talks to him and she's like, hey, every single time I'm not with you, I miss you so much. Like, and then every time like things happen, I'm always like, oh, I wish Joey was here. And it's very cute. I was like, oh, that's cute. Like, oh, I miss him so much. Like, I wish my man was here, which is cute. It's something that you do want to hear. But then I wrote here in my notes, I wrote, damn it. Now I'm like, I love Daisy. I can't picture him talking to anyone else in the moment. And I'm like, that is so true. Like, in that moment, I will like, when I'm watching this episode, I'm like, oh, Kelsey's the one. But then when I see him with Daisy, I'm like, fuck, she could be the one too. But the more I think about it, I still think it's Daisy. I mean, I still think it's Kelsey. But while watching this, I was like, fuck, he also has a really strong connection with Daisy. And I think he has a very like sexual chemistry, I think, with her as well. But then he also does say, while he's talking to Daisy in his ITM, he says, I can't picture talking to anyone else in the moment. Whenever I'm with her, I don't think about anybody else.
The way about her that makes me feel so understood. She has this way that she looks at me. It's like she looks through me. When I'm with Daisy, there's nothing I can think about. The way I feel when I kiss her, like, she just makes me feel whole.
And I'm like, well, that's always kind of nice to hear, because then you're like, oh, if he's not thinking about Kelsey in this moment, he must be really, really into Daisy. He's not like wondering like, oh, what is she doing right now, right? So that's kind of telling as well, but then also confusing to the fucking audience. Just saying. But yeah, they go into like the shower and they shower off together. Again, it was a lot of sexual chemistry, and I was very like, I felt like I was watching something that I should not be watching. I was literally like, okay, this is awkward. Can we cut? I really don't need to see y'all like making out. Like, I felt like they wanted to have sex in that fucking little shower, but whatever. We go to dinner time. They're very cute together. He does seem very open with her. I did notice in his date, he was kind of like bantering with her and like opening up and joking. Like, he felt very open with Daisy compared to like when he was with Kelsey, he was open with her as well. But at the dinner portion, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I just felt that he was very open, very kind of laid back, kind of just being funny and flirty with her, which was really nice. He was also very open about like his life with her, which we don't see him often talking about himself. This was the first time we actually found out so much more about him, and a little bit more about his dating history, and things like that. I was like, oh, okay, we're episode 8. I think this is episode 8. We're finally getting to know Joey, y'all. We're finally getting to know more about Joey. Finally. And Daisy tells him that she feels very safe to tell him how she feels. And in other relationships, she felt like she couldn't open up. Then again, with Joey opening up, which I just wrote here, I forgot to mention.
Like, feeling deep down inside, once I show like fully myself or every part of myself, people don't fall in love with me or don't see something as great. I always think like sometimes people fall in love with the idea of me because I'm very chill from time to time, but there's like a lot more to me, and that takes time to uncover and see.
I said, okay, Joey. I like what I'm hearing. We've got some vulnerability here. We have some more story to you. And I really liked that because I felt like we haven't got that from Joey in a really long time. And he didn't talk about this kind of stuff with Kelsey, at least not on camera, right? Or at least wasn't shown to us. So I liked that they kind of showed that side of him with Daisy, which then also really, as an audience member, it really makes you think and wonder, okay, so wait, who is he going to choose? Because he's really opening up to Daisy right now, more than we've seen him open up with really any of the other women. Just saying. She says that she's super thankful for him, and she starts crying, but they both want to be chosen in the end, and they're both scared. Like, in the end, they're really similar. Like, they're both kind of scared to open up, but they both want to commit, but they're also scared that the other person's not going to choose them. So it's interesting, a very interesting dynamic. She tells him that she's still falling in love with him, and then he says that he is falling in love with her. And he talks about the moment, which a lot of people have talked about in the last episode, when she told him she was falling in love with him, and he was just like, I feel the same way. And he talks about it in this interview, in this conversation with her. He's like, you know, I kind of blurted it out, and I was just like, oh my God, like I shouldn't have said that. Like I wanted to wait to tell you in the right moment. And he's just like, but I am
falling in love with you, and it has been building for a while. It's not a doubt that it's there. It's just how far it will grow. And I felt all of this for a while.
And this is when it becomes the whole like, oh, but you told Kelsey the same thing.
Well,
literally, like almost verbatim. Almost verbatim, just like one or two words different. But that's why I was like, oh, Joey, you kind of said the same thing to two women. Fuck. I don't know. But this kind of reminds me of the Golden Bachelor, guys, because the Golden Bachelor really threw us for a loop, because they really did try to sell us that it was going to be Leslie and not Teresa. Because I remember he did not tell Teresa he loved her until like way later. Like, he kept talking to Leslie like, you're my girl. He was telling her that he was like, I'll never forget when he kissed her outside of her house in her hometown. And he's just like, and I love you. And he like kissed her, and I was like, oh my God, like I think Leslie's the one. Like, this is crazy. And then I don't know what happened in that overnight, because I swear whatever happened in the overnight with Teresa is what made him like choose made her choose him. Like, I don't know, something I was just like, this is weird. This is very, very odd. I don't know. That's just me. That's just what I thought. But yeah, then the next morning, they go and obviously they get the key, all that stuff. We have the next morning, and I wrote something that I can't understand what the hell that says. It looks like it says Gil. I don't know what the next morning. I think I wrote good. I don't know what I wrote, but anyway, I wrote the next morning. They look good. Cute, not as cute as Kelsey's next morning. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, I don't think I mentioned the Kelsey A the next morning. The Kelsey A the next morning was very like putting her on the counter, a lot of kissing, a lot of making out, a lot of like we're making food together. Definitely gave vibes that there was a lot of chemistry in there for sure. Then we get into the final moments of the episode, which is of course us finding out who wrote the note. Which I thought it was going to be Rachel, because she was going to feel like, I don't think I'm there, or I don't think I'm going to be able to catch up. I'm going to go home. That is what I thought was going to happen. And I was clearly thrown for a loop because it was Kelsey A. And I'm like, what the fuck? Kelsey's writing? Oh, fuck me. Obviously, they're trying to really deter us, being like, oh my God, she's going to send herself home. Is this kind of where this is going, kind of thing, right? But of course, we have this dramatic moment where she talks about how devastated she would be if she didn't end up with him. And yep, she writes the note, and I'm like, at this moment, I was just like, okay, but what is the moment? The letter just said we need to talk, and she puts it in his. Like, she goes to try to talk to him. He's not at his door because I'm assuming he was still on his D. I don't really know where he was, but she goes to his door, knocks on it. He's not there, and she leaves, comes back, writes a note that says we need to talk, and puts it on his door. And then of course Joey gets the note. He starts freaking out. He starts spiraling. He doesn't want her to leave. It's his worst nightmare. And he said he is so over feeling the moment. He's also over feeling like he's putting all this work into these relationships, and he's not going to get chosen.
I don't understand what could have went wrong because I haven't said anything to her. This would derail everything. If something's wrong, if she needs to leave or something happens, I don't know.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Okay. I mean, because at this moment, I'm like, okay, she says we need to talk. And she says, oh, well, I wrote this letter to him because I wanted to make sure that, like, you know, we told each other that we would always tell each other when we were feeling, and he wanted me to be honest with him. I'm like, yeah, why you gotta write him a note? Because now you're just gonna freak him out. And obviously, I know producers were like, hey, go knock on his door, knowing that he wasn't there. And then she really wants to talk to him, like, oh, write him a note. Like, maybe he'll appreciate it. And just said, yeah, but we want to have this conversation on camera, right? So make sure you just write we need to talk, which of course you tell any person we need to talk and they're automatically going to assume like this is negative, like this is bad, they're breaking up with me, she's leaving, what the fuck does this mean, kind of thing, right? So, of course, they're going to have Joey spiraling. Of course, it's going to make amazing TV. But you have Joey spiraling. He's freaking out. He doesn't want her to leave. And that right there obviously really also signified to me the fact that she is the front runner. Because he is freaking out. He's literally like, I do not want her to leave. I do not want her to leave. Why? Because she is the one for him. That's me. That's just me. That's what I think. That's what I think. But anyway, that was the end of the episode. Of course, it ends on a fucking cliffhanger. I was like, damn you, Bachelor producers! Damn you! But we have a quick preview for the next episode, which is going to be, it looks like a mix of the Women Tell All with the, I guess, ending of what this cliff of this conversation, or him choosing the final two. Like, it's going to be that. I'm assuming it's going to be a bit of that, and then it goes into the Women Tell All, because I have heard through the grapevine, through some friends, that the girl who gets sent home third, or who doesn't make the top two, she's at the Women Tell All. So yeah. But in the Women Tell All, like, I thought they were going to have, like, I thought they had already filmed it, but it turns out I think they only filmed it, like, a couple of days ago. So, like, in the preview, they just show, like, clips of the season and JP kind of talking over it, like, oh, my God, are we ready to see Sydney? Are we ready to see Maria? And you kind of see, like, the moments of them, like, kind of, you know, battling out. They talk about Jen. They talk about the women leaving and how they're all going to be back. And I'm like, oh, my God, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for this Women Tell All. Oh my God, I cannot wait for the Women Tell All. It's going to be fantastic. Fantastic. I cannot wait. I'm really excited to see Maria. I'm so excited to see if, like, Sydney and Leia are going to, like, double down and be like, no, you were a bully, and like I hope it's gonna be some good drama. Not I hope, but also, I mean, if they're all just like, oh no, we're all friends now, we've cleared it up, it'll be kind of boring. Not gonna lie, if it's like that, like we would, as for good TV, we want them to be like at like not agreeing and them still standing tall on their opinions. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. And also we're gonna see the end of, like I said, like about the note. You see Joey and Kelsey talking, and she's like, Joey, and he's just like, I'm not fine, and he's like freaking out. Then of course we see another preview of him choosing whoever he's gonna choose. We see him talking to his family, which I'm assuming is gonna be not next week, but the week after. We see him like talking to his parents and how they feel about the person that, you know, the women that are there, I guess. And then you had the final moment of him, you know, at this rose ceremony with the one flower, and JP saying over the voiceover, like, oh, you think you know, you have no idea. And I'm like, for the love of God, what could possibly happen? What have we not seen? Like, does he actually end up single? Does somebody leave? Why do they leave? Why do they say no? Like, because it's not a big deal if somebody says like, yeah, you know what, I think we should just date. Like, where the fuck is this going? Just saying. But anyway, guys, that is the end of that. That was the end of that episode. It was a great episode to see like his connections with these women and kind of really start to see like these like front runners, which are definitely Daisy and Kelsey A, which I still think Kelsey A is winning. I'm still gonna call it. I'm gonna stay confident with my Kelsey A. I'm gonna stick with it, even though Daisy is is like neck and neck. Like she's like right here. Like she could all of a sudden just be boom in one day. But right now, I'm still calling Kelsey A as the winner. Guys, who do you think ends up with Joey? Do you think Joey ends up with someone? Do you think he gets married? Do you think he's dating them? Or do you think he's single? Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. So excited for next week. Can't wait to cover it here on the channel. But guys, if you liked this video, if I brought you some value, if I made you laugh, click that like button. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? Why aren't you subscribed? Guys, click that subscribe button. Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? Just kidding, guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Who wrote the note? That's literally the whole time. The only thing I could think about was that meme. Was who wrote the note? YouTube. Jersey Shore never dies. Never dies. God.